Hello, beloved Earthbound Fam. Welcome in or welcome back to Aware of the Ancients' perfectly imperfect vloggity podcasty thingy. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm H-Bomb, and here at Aware of the Ancients' Astrological Interpretations, we take a look at our cosmos from a more obscure and abstract point of view. There is an insane amount of things going on up there in our cosmos right now, which is the understatement of the year. Let me tell you, it is literally off the charts, friends. I mean, on the zodiacal chart, of course, but many of the planetary alignments that are now in play or coming into play have never been experienced by anyone walking Earth plane at this time. For instance, Uranus will join Pluto, our buddy Nep, and King Saturn in retrograde this week. That is every outside planet in our solar system, meaning all of the planets beyond Jupiter in a retrograde motion from our perspective here on Earth plane. Further, all of the inner planets, meaning the planets that are closer to Father Sun than King Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Gaia or Earth, will be changing houses over the next 3 weeks. The 4 outer lords are in regress. The 4 inner gods or goddesses are soon changing houses. The inner planets are moving super duper fast, while the outer planets are moving super duper slow. The universal reset into the age of Aquarius is quickly flowing in, but the water will gather and rise before it disperses through the new Earth channels. Adding on to this already unfamiliar cosmic territory we're dredging through, Mama Moon teams up with North Node, the direction Gaia's collective is moving toward, and Father Sun teams up with Mercury and South Node, the direction in which Gaia's collective is moving away from. If you know anything about the tarot, this is very reminiscent of the Chariot card, where there is a driver that represents the self, a chariot that represents the soul, and 2 beings or animals pulling the chariot that represent the different directions in which we can be pulled. However, there are no reins for the driver to hold in order to control the animals pulling the chariot. The chariot is controlled by the driver's intuition. Mama Moon, the celestial entity who represents insight and intuition, is dead center in the house of Pisces, the zodiacal house that represents intuition. So, how much do you trust your intuition, friends? This will indeed be tested, so please tune in instead of tapping out to what your body and your spirit are telling you, so you know the direction in which to steer your soul's chariot. Put on your best dancing shoes, y'all, because we are going to the universe's cosmic prom, a swirling and a twirling through the push-pull energies coming at us from our cosmos. And that's where some bell ringing right there. Woo! So, if you're ready to pick up what I'm about to lay down, come along and join me for a walk through the first 10 days of September and what the universe has in store for us. We'll begin our stroll with one of the biggest moves that has ever been moved in our universe, which happened on August 29th. On August 29th, Pluto, in retrograde, went into declination, or out of bounds, in the house of Aquarius. In astrology, out of bounds is defined as a planet disappearing below the sun's ecliptic plane. This basically means that Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, has gone rogue up there and is no longer playing by the zodiacal rules. So we can expect Pluto's behavior to become insanely erratic, unconventional, unbound, and unchecked when it comes to the energetics of death and rebirth. And we will be seeing many things entering this cycle that go way beyond human life. One of the greatest ways I have heard Pluto's out of boundness described is, this is when empires end. Shout out to all the Star Wars fans on the side of the resistance, because our time is now. Just kidding. Or am I? Time will tell. This will play out over the next decade because Pluto will teeter back and forth between the in and out of bounds of Father-Son's ecliptical plane for 10 years. And then he will not do this again for another 1,000 years, y'all. Crazy. All right, moving on. September 1st. The Aurigid meteor shower peaked, and Saturn in retrograde officially re-entered Pisces' 29th degree, the final degree of the zodiacal chart. The Aurigid meteor shower comes from the Auriga constellation, which is located near the Gemini and Taurus constellations. Auriga is Latin for the charioteer, or the driver of the chariot, and in Hebrew, Auriga represents a shepherd holding a goat. Auriga is known for its pentagonal shape and can easily be found in the winter skies of the northern hemisphere by locating its brightest star, named Capella. The Aurigid meteor shower will be visible until September 5th, so if you have dark skies from midnight through the dawn hour, you can probably catch a glimpse of these beauties flying through our atmosphere tomorrow. Also, on September 1st, Saturn in retrograde dipped back into the 29th degree of the Piscean waters. The 29th degree of Pisces is the very last degree of the zodiacal chart, so this degree represents complete death, just before the first degree of the first house, Aries, which represents brand new birth. Saturn is the king of karma, but not the kind of karma that's out to get you. That's a man-made definition of karma. Saturn's karma is the kind of karma that we brought with us from other lifetimes, the karma that we were born into through ancestral lineages, the karmic lessons that we signed up for before incarnating here on Earth plane, as well as the karma we have accumulated in this present incarnation. Saturn's karma is the epitome of tough love, and this tough love is meant to help us learn the lessons our soul selves signed up for before we were born into Earth plane. We might not remember that. Remember. But that is why you are here right now at this very moment, because your soul self made a promise to assist and support Gaia in her ETA, her evolutionary transcendental ascension, as she evolves into her next phase of being. In Greek mythology, Saturn is known as Kronos, one of the original Titans and king of the gods before he was overthrown by his son Zeus, aka Jupiter, in Roman mythology. Kronos, as the original god, was given the power of time and seasons, as well as the power of reconciliation, which, for all intents and purposes, is a synonym for karma, is it not? I mean, maybe this is a new perspective on what the word karma means to you. So let me just kind of explain what I'm talking about here. Reconciliation does not mean kissing and making up. It does not mean that you offer forgiveness, nor that you will ever forget. Reconciliation means that you have released and walked away from any emotionally burdensome things in your life. The word emotion means energy in motion, but sometimes we allow it to get stuck inside of us instead of allowing it to move through us. This can manifest into many medical issues, both physically and mentally. When we have an issue with someone, we have a choice to reconcile with them, but more importantly, to reconcile the emotions with ourselves by releasing the negative feelings and judgments, excuse all my tongue-tiedness, and allowing bygones to be bygones, regardless of whether or not we keep this person in our lives. So you can live happily ever after, my friends. Remember that you are not responsible for other people's happiness. When we hold on to negative emotions and allow them to fester within us, it makes us bitter and cold-hearted, which can easily become a severe poison that we allow into our lives, called hate. Hate comes from an inner allowance where our heart is aligned to ego. Do you understand this fantastic and definitive acronym for the word hate? Heart aligned to ego. When hate is allowed to grow within us instead of love, it builds up feelings of lack, insecurity, doubt, distrust, and disorder. Those feelings, they are karma, because because all we have to do to keep those things from growing in us is reconcile with those feelings. How? By letting those emotional waves move through us instead of holding on to them. Much easier said than done, I know, but it is possible if we can get out of our own way. Saturn is one of the greatest teachers of our zodiacal elders, and he uses karma to teach us the most important lessons that we all came here to learn: love, compassion, empathy, and acceptance. However, the method to his madness does not permit ease and grace. Saturn's lessons come from tough love, hard work, and using our blood, sweat, and tears to persevere over the hard times that come into our lives. However, once we do overcome these difficulties, Saturn rewards us with the greatest gifts of accomplishment and reward. Right now, Saturn is sitting at the most karmic degree of the zodiacal wheel, the 29th degree of Pisces, and it is here that he will be calling us to collect the karmic debts we've acquired in each and every aspect of our lives. Because the 9-9 portal is all about completion, which requires reconciliation. If we're still holding on to past burdens, Saturn will be blowing these up into big, huge events in our lives as we move through the rest of 2025 and into 2026, because he will not return to the house of Aries until February 13th, 2026. So, my friends, are you right with yourselves in all of the areas of your lives? Be honest, because Saturn sees you when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake. And he knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Fun fact, did you know that the idea of Santa is based on Saturn's karmic payouts? It's true. One of these days, I might do a vloggity podcasty thingy about that, but meanwhile, y'all can look up that esoteric correlation for yourselves. You can do a Google search for Saturn is Santa or what is Saturnalia. Give your brain a little esoteric expansion. Okay, moving on. On September 2nd, Mercury entered Virgo. The house of Virgo is Mercury's earth element home turf, and also where he becomes hermetamorphic, meaning that all identity of male, female fall away and he enters into the homeostasis of gender and sexuality. Mercury in Greek mythology is Hermes, after all. This hermetamorphism represents the elimination of differences and separation, and gender is the earthbound basis for difference and separation we here on Earth plane experience. Mercury in Virgo is all about our inner unification and individual health. However, Mercury is also the planetary representative of Gemini, the house of teamwork and partnership. So this Gemini energetic will manifest as well in a state of unified well-being within the collective and unified acceptance. I'm not going to go into deets about that here, but I will get further into that in my next Blood Moon vloggity podcasty thingy, so stay tuned if you'd like to learn more. September 5th, Uranus goes retrograde in Gemini at the 1st degree. As mentioned, Gemini represents teamwork, partnership, duality, and polarity. Uranus represents the future, technology, energy, interstellar communications, power to the people, revelation, revolution, and the greater good for humanity. Uranus in Gemini will be drawing out all of the people, places, and things who have stood to keep Gaia's collective in a state of separation and differences, and opening the gateway to our reformation and Gaia's collective unifying and coming back into solidarity with each other as fellow humans, but also with Gaia herself, as well as with our star and galactic brothers and sisters. Uranus also represents electrical circuits, both outside and inside of the physical body, affecting the nervous system and the circulation of our bodily fluids like blood. Gemini is the house of discovery, so we will be discovering many new forms of medical technology, breakthroughs, and what we've considered to be futuristic treatments, finding their way into our present states of being. We will also discover how our blood has been bought and sold, used as a data tracker, and used to inhibit and impede the natural evolution of our human DNA, keeping us in states of energetic fear, strife, and stress in all 4 of our bodies. Blood is the lifeline to our innate health. Without healthy blood, our energetic center, the heart, cannot operate. Without healthy blood, oxygen cannot circulate throughout our bodies, which greatly compromises the healthy states of our major organs, especially the brain. Without healthy blood, our bodies cannot heal correctly. And this has been the goal of many a money-grubbing human, to keep us from healing, to keep us from having a healthy electromagnetic resonance in and from our hearts, which actually connects us all to each other, to keep our brains in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, and searching for some superhero to come save us. This has been the perfect recipe to keep us scared, insecure, and reliant on people, places, and things outside of ourselves, rather than focusing on what needs to be attended to within. All of that will be coming to an abrupt end throughout September and October, though, as the veils of the dark and diabolical truth come into unobstructed focus. Speaking of blood, I will be posting a vloggity podcasty thingy dedicated to this full blood moon on the trailblazing path that Mama Moon and Father Sun are setting up to enlighten us with. So check that out. Check out that video if you'd like to learn more about it. Okay, moving on. On September 7th, the full blood moon and the lunar eclipse. Mama Moon in her full blood moon, as well as in her ecliptic to Father Sun, is making the communication loud and clear as to what must be released from our physical, mental, and emotional bodies to allow our spiritual bodies to expand and grow. Mama Moon teams up with North Node, the direction Gaia's collective should be, is moving toward, and Father Sun teams up with Mercury and South Node, the direction which Gaia's collective should be, is moving away from, putting this trailblazing into the age of Aquarius into a much higher gear and making this enormous and unprecedented shift much faster and more obvious. If you know anything about the tarot, this is very reminiscent of the Chariot card, where there is a driver, a chariot, and 2 beings or animals pulling the chariot. However, there are no reins to control the chariot. The chariot is controlled by the driver's intuition. Mama Moon, the celestial entity who represents insight and intuition, is dead center in the house of Pisces, the zodiacal house that represents intuition. So, how much do you trust your intuition, friends? This will indeed be tested, so please tune in instead of tapping out to what your body and your spirit are telling you, so you know the direction in which to steer your soul. Moon will be pulling us toward the North Node's energy in the direction we, as individuals, as well as the collective, are going in. So where do you want to go, friends? And are you standing in your own way on the path to get there? If so, Mama Moon is glowing big and bright and beautiful to show you the way. All you have to do is move. The Sun South Node Mercury conjunction will give us the keys to the doorway to walk through. We're going to call that the eclipse, and the ability to lock that door behind us and never look back unless we just cannot bring ourselves to let it go. Free will is yours, friends, and a completely new age, era, and paradigm starts now. This can be a completely clean slate or a basket of never-ending dirty laundry. The choice is yours. All right, on September 9th, we have the 9-9 portal in the 2025 year of 9. In case you didn't know, 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9, which is why 2025 is the year of 9. To get a grasp on or catch up on what this year of 9 brings to the esoteric table, please feel free to read this bloggity thingy I wrote and published on December 30th, 2024 about 2025, the year of 9. The link is in the description below. Meanwhile, on September 9th, we find ourselves in the heart and hearth of the 9-9 portal in this 9 year. The 9-9 portal is incredibly powerful all on its own. It symbolizes the completion of what we have set out to grow over the year. Think of our 4 bodies as gardens. The 9-9 portal is opened by how we prepared the earth for the growth of our gardens, recognizing and attending to the things that inhibited growth in our gardens, harvesting what we were able to grow, and utilizing the lessons learned from this year's garden to create a stronger and more vibrant and thriving garden when springtime gets sprung. So, how have you tended and taken care of yourself since the springtime? Were you able to grow and flourish and harvest a healthy bounty in that beautiful bodily vessel of yours? Were you able to face your demons, insecurities, and stagnations? How's that authenticity developing in your life, friends? If these questions have fuzzy answers, now is the time to get some reconciliation on board with your inner garden, because this 9-9 portal in this 9 year brings us not just a karmic completion, but the karmic completion. In numerology, the number 9 is the finish line. All the work that needed to be done is done. Whether you like the outcome of how that work panned out is of no consequence, because there is no moving past 9. There is only transcending it. After all, any number that 9 multiplies into, when added up digit by digit, adds up to 9. For instance, 9 times 2 equals 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 times 3 equals 27, 2 plus 7 equals 9. 9 times 4 equals 36, 3 plus 6 equals 9. You catch my drift. You can do it yourself. You can keep on going with that for as long as you want to. It'll all come back to 9, 9, 9. So, you see what I'm saying? There's really no way to bypass a 9 year or a year of completion. What's been accomplished in developing our capacity for unconditional love, the love for self, love for others, and authenticity in offering this love into the world will be presented to the scales of Libra when Father Sun enters Libra on September 22nd. That being said, there is a slight grace period that the universe is providing before the scales determine the judgment, because Venus, ruler of Libra, is coming home to her Libra palace on October 13th. October 13th, this date will be when our authenticity and ability to operate with unconditional love will become the new pathway of lessons in the kingdom you chose through your free will choices. Either Saturn's kingdom of individual karma or Jupiter's kingdom of collaboration. You chose these paths at the end of 2024, whether you were aware of it or not, through your free will choices. With all of the outer planets in retrograde by September 9th, Between September 9th and October 13th, we will have a chance to do a major reevaluation as to how we want to present our accomplishments in authenticity and unconditional love to the Librian scales. For instance, if you've been on the outs with someone but have kept them hanging on, you have the opportunity to release them during this time rather than subjecting the both of you to more karmic lessons. Free will is yours, though, so you do you. But this reevaluation is a gift for the collective. So just because you don't let someone go does not mean that they won't let you go. Just something to consider as the reevaluation draws closer. I've said it before, and I will say it again, y'all. What a time to be alive! Woo! Man. Okay, so that is September 1st through September 10th. I know many of you may be wondering what all of this means for you personally, and all of that information is written in the stars that you were born under, my friends. For instance, in my own star chart, Virgo is where my 8th house is. The 8th house is known as the house of longevity. It represents the lifespan years from ages 50 through 56 and epitomizes our experiences with vital and chronic health issues, life cycles, karmic connections, shared resources, the health of our intimate relationships, and death and rebirth in the physical sense and also in the spiritual sense. A weak or afflicted 8th house can indicate mental anxiety, misfortune, and severe health issues, while a strong one can be tied to a longer lifespan, or at least a healthier one. We all have our exits from Earth plane, friends, and there isn't anything that can stand in the way when our time comes to cross over. But while we're here, we may as well make the most of it in whatever way you see fit. Your free will is yours, so you do you. But when you get to your 8th house, or if you've already gone through your 8th house and you start to experience major health or relationship breakdowns, don't say I didn't warn you. For me, while I'm dwelling in this 8th house during this Virgo season of my life, it will be more important than ever for me to pay my attention to the health and the well-being of my 4 bodies, especially as I get closer to 56. The 8th house energy gives a natural push-pull energetic of strength and weaknesses as we transit through, like an ebb and flow against a shore. If you know me well, you know that health is already one of my passion projects, and that I take excellent care of this particular bodily vessel that my soul resides within. What you may not know is that I am very prone to respiratory illnesses. I have been since the day I was born. In my early 20s, I also decided to go for a 4-year ride on the cocaine train. So the care I have for myself now in today's world is in reconciliation for the care I did not have or simply didn't know about in my younger years. Therefore, it will be imperative that I listen, pay attention to, and honor anything and everything that my body communicates to me as I venture through the rest of my Virgo season and make the necessary adjustments. Otherwise, dis-ease and illness will be the prominent force when or if I enter the 9th house or Libra season of my life, where balance becomes the name of the game. If I take extra good care of myself now, then my Libra season will be a season of maintaining my health and relationships rather than trying to restore them. So if you'd like to know what the stars mapped out for your happiest and healthiest Earthbound life, I would be so happy and honored to do a personal star chart reading for you. Please feel free to contact me at awareoftheancients@gmail.com. That's awareoftheancients@gmail.com, all lowercase. Please put the words star chart reading in the subject line so I pay attention to the email and I don't mistake it for spam, because I do that a little bit. In the body of the email, if you would, please let me know your name, birth date, place of birth, and time of birth. if you know it. And if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. If you know if you were born during the day or night, that might help a little bit to just hone in on some details, but that's okay if you don't know. And anyway, I will get back to you ASAP about what you'd like to know and when you and I can get together to powwow about it. Otherwise, my beloved Earthbound fam, I am going to end this vloggity podcasty thingy right here. And until we meet again, live the life you love the God you trust, and don't take it all too seriously. And always remember that you are stars, not standards. Now go shine and have yourselves a joy-filled day.